I blew the budget again this week, but I've got a plan for how I'm going to recover. I'll share all the numbers with you, plus an exciting announcement about my Etsy shop, coming up next. Welcome back to Ready Budget Go. My name is Drew, and on this channel we talk about cash budgeting, saving money, and achieving our financial goals. If that sounds like something you're interested in, please consider subscribing, hit the like button, and leave me a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. Today, I'm going to give a budget update for the second week of March. This for me will be the 7th through the 13th. That would be Friday through Thursday as my weeks normally run. Now, as I mentioned at the start of the video, I am way over budget. I'll give you a little bit of a spoiler for what's coming next. I'm almost double what I'd planned to spend this week. But I don't feel too bad about it, and when I get to the expenses portion, I think you'll understand why. I've also got a plan for how I'm going to recover from the overspending for this month. So the first thing that I'm going to do is do a cash dump. I'm going to set the book aside here for just a sec, not too far out of reach. And I didn't spend a whole lot of cash this week. I had $30 at the start of the week, and I didn't go to the cash machine until Monday. Usually I try to go Friday, Saturday at the latest. When I went to the cash machine on Monday, I took out $170, or $140 rather, to make it $170, because I figured I would spend about $70 in the rest of the week, and then I would have $100 for this coming week. But what ended up happening is that I spent the $30 and I still have the $140 that I took out of the cash machine. So for the change, I just have a little bit of it, not too much at all, but I will add that into the big coin bag here that I keep. This is money these are coins that I'm accumulating to put toward Christmas presents at the end of the year. I have no idea. I don't really have a target in mind for how much this will be. It's just whatever comes out of it. I will probably cash these in maybe October, just to take advantage of Prime Day that usually happens then. We'll see. So I'm going to set these to the side. And then out of the money pouch, I'm going to take all of the singles, and I think I've got 4 of them this week. Let's see here. Yep, $4. So it's going to be a thinner stuffing for the letterbucks at the end of March, because I don't think I had any from last week. I didn't. So we'll see how many more I get, but that video will probably be pretty brief this month, and that's okay. I didn't spend a lot of cash because I didn't really have that many opportunities to do it. A lot of my spending went on the credit card, and I'll show you all of that when we get to the expenses portion. For now, I'm going to put away all of the pouches, and I'll get the book back out, and we'll start going over all of the transactions that came through my various accounts this week. I've got the book back out, and I'm going to open up to the goals page first. I had posted a video the other day, kind of a surprise video to me as much as to anyone else, that I had fully funded my emergency fund. And I'm not sure if I covered in that video, but the reason I was able to do that is because a deposit from Etsy came through. And I very much want to thank everyone who has supported me in my Etsy shop, whether by buying physical products or digital downloads. That really does mean a lot to me, and it's really helped out a lot with my budgeting. So, and because of that, I was able to fully fund the emergency fund. So thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate it. And speaking of my Etsy shop, I did reopen it today. So all of my physical products and all of my digital downloads are now available again. There is also a coupon code down in the description below for 20% off orders of $50 or more. And so that coupon code is only for people who watch my Etsy videos. It is not automatically applied in the shop, but I'll leave the specific link down below, and it should apply if you use that link. So that being said, let's now move on to the budget sheet for March. And first we'll talk about income and how there isn't any. The reason is because I get paid on the 15th and the last day of the month. So for the second week in a row, I have no income coming in. That is typical of any month. I will get paid on Friday the 14th, which is the day that this video goes up. That paycheck will show up in my weekly update for next week. But I don't have it today as I'm filming on the evening of the 13th, so I'm not including it. For bills, there were just a couple that came through. I got the bill for YouTube, or YouTube Premium was billed to my credit card, so that was its usual $16. And then I also got a refund from my renter's insurance. That came on the 10th. So that was what I had. Sorry, just writing here. That was what I had anticipated would happen, and that was $10. So it wasn't, I mean, it wasn't a plan in the month at the start of the month, but that did happen. So that was minus 10 from the budget. That was for my old place. I paid the premium for the full month. And then once I canceled the policy, they refunded me for the time remaining in the month. The other thing that came in was this credit card annual fee of $550. That actually did post on the 1st, and I've been neglecting to write it down, but that did come through. Now, $550 is a whopper of an annual fee for a credit card, and if you carry a balance on your credit cards, you absolutely should not be carrying any cards that have an annual fee. I carry this card because it gives me $300 in a travel credit, so that reduces the annual fee to $250 effectively because I always travel every year. And then that other $250, I get much more benefit out of that. So it gives me, for example, Lyft Pink. And because I don't drive, I use rideshare quite a bit. And Lyft Pink gives me discounts. It also gets me a DoorDash subscription. And again, because I don't drive, relying on DoorDash for deliveries can be a real lifesaver if the weather is bad or if something is going on. And I get credits for that as well. I get two $10 credits a month for groceries and one $5 credit a month for restaurants. So right there, and that doesn't even count the value of the Dash Pass subscription, which gets me $0 delivery fees and reduced service fees. So for me, it's a tremendous value. For everyone else, it may not be. It just depends on your situation. So I just want to make sure that I'm clear on that because I don't carry balances on my credit cards. I pay them off every single month and I use credit responsibly now. I didn't always in the past, but I do now. So that is why I have that on there. So anytime I pay an annual fee, I just like to go over that. And I have only 2 cards with annual fees. Okay, so the wallet spending, we'll come back to that. Stockpiles didn't change. Savings and extra debt didn't change. This was last updated on Monday after game night, $257. Because my emergency fund is fully funded, this $257 is going into my Roth IRA because that's the next goal. I talked about goals in more detail in the video that I posted the other day, and that should be linked down below or at the end of this video. All right, so the next thing that I'm going to do is go over to the cash flow tracker. And the only thing that happened in my checking account this week was that I went to the ATM and I withdrew that $140 that I ended up not needing to. So at any rate, that is marked there. So the next thing that we'll do is we'll go over the expenses. I'm going to cut the video here just to make sure that it doesn't get too long. And then I'll tell you all about all the money that I spent on my credit card this week. Here we are at the expense tracker. And because I had so many transactions last week and I had a ton more this week, I decided to summarize. Part of the reason why I list out all the transactions individually is so that I can spot patterns. But in this case, I know the reason why I spent more than I budgeted. And so it doesn't really do me a whole lot of good to list out all of those individual transactions. So I decided to bundle them together, especially since I am hoping I don't have to print out an entire extra page to get through the month of March. But that takes the number of transactions down from about 15 to about 6. So I'm just going to write for the 7th through the 13th, oops, only if my pen doesn't skip, at DoorDash and restaurants, and this will be the food category, $181.63. That is from eating out 3 meals a day for several days, and there's reasons for that. Part of the reason is because I had not yet unpacked everything in my kitchen, or when I did unpack it, there wasn't really any room to do any cooking. So my kitchen here is very small. It's even smaller than the kitchen at my previous residence, which I didn't think kitchens got any smaller than that, but they do. And so that's what I'm dealing with here. Now, I've gotten things under control and I've gone grocery shopping, and we'll get to that in a minute. But the fact of the matter is, I was not in a position to be able to cook for several days. So I was eating out 3 meals a day. Not something that I wanted to do, something that I should have anticipated as part of the move. But at the same time, when I had planned this budget, I was originally anticipating being in a different apartment that had a bigger kitchen where this wouldn't have been an issue. This is an artifact of that building not being complete and me having to completely change my plans and move to a completely different building, completely different apartment, different floor plan. So that's the reality of the situation. Okay, so that's DoorDash and restaurants. Also, I had to go to Target. And the reason I had to go to Target is because I needed things like a shower curtain, a bath mat, like a shower mat, a tub mat, and a shower curtain liner and shower curtain hooks and ice cube trays and all of these different things that I didn't need in my previous apartment because I had a stand-in shower, I had an ice maker in the freezer. So that cost me $83.29. And that was not money that I had anticipated spending. Again, it was going to be a totally different setup, but here we are. Then on the 10th, I had to go to a laundromat. And the reason I had to go to a laundromat is because my washer dryer, well, the washer worked, but the dryer didn't. It was a brand new appliance, but it wouldn't turn on. It turned out that there was an issue with the breaker switch. Now, I didn't have to do laundry right away, so I didn't know about this for several days. And I put a load through the wash. The washing machine works normally, but the dryer didn't. And so I was kind of stuck. And of course, by then, I needed to do laundry. I was running out of towels and clothes, and my sheets needed to be washed, and all of this. So I had to haul everything to a laundromat and spend $16. And that I'm going to call household. I will probably get that money back from my property management, but to be determined. Now, you may be asking why they didn't come out and fix the dryer. And the reason is because they are short staffed, like incredibly short staffed. The maintenance person here is also responsible for 2 other buildings, and he's a crew of 1. So it took a few days for him to come out, and I couldn't wait. I had to get the laundry done. So that's what happened there. And then groceries. This was Safeway. This is actually 2 separate grocery trips, but I've smushed them together into one. That was, let's see, $143.08. Now, I'm not consuming all of this in 1 week. Some of this is things that will last for several weeks, things like olive oil and um, frozen vegetables and things like that. But because I didn't bring any fresh food with me, I now have to replace all of that. So the grocery expenses are going to be high for a minute while I replenish my stockpile here. And then today I went to another store at home to buy more housewares, and I didn't even come back with everything that I'd planned to buy, but that's okay. I didn't spend all that much money, but I did spend $39.92. And then, of course, we have the weekly cash. And I don't track the category for that because it could be anything, because it's cash, and that was $30. Okay, so let's add all this up. 181.63, 83.29, 16, 143.08, 39.92, and 30. And that gives us $493.92. So really a whopper. Before I move off this page though, I want to make sure that I color code all of the transactions. And last week I did orange. This week I'm just going to do green. St. Patrick's Day is almost here, so. And I just do this to separate the weeks in the tracker. Okay. So let me go back to the main page here, the main budget page. Whoops, sorry about that. My goodness, I knocked the camera and sent everything spinning. Okay, so for week 2, $493.92. Now, I was over last week by a significant amount and over this week by even more. And so the way that I've decided I'm going to recover this is I'm not going to beat myself up for going over budget this month. I think considering the circumstances of what has happened, it just is kind of the logical outcome of that. I could have pulled things back maybe a little bit, but the reality was these last couple of weeks have been extraordinarily stressful, and I'm just not going to punish myself for not being on the ball when it comes to this spending. So I do still have to make up for it somehow. And so what I'm going to do is when I build the April budget, and I'll do that this weekend, and I'll try to get that video up Sunday. If not Sunday, then it'll be sometime early next week, possibly Tuesday or Wednesday after game night. But I don't have a rent payment for April because I'm on a promo. So that gives me the cash flow that I will need to repay credit cards. The paycheck that I'm getting this week is all going toward credit cards. I mean, essentially that paycheck is already gone. The paycheck that I'm expecting to get is $3,070. The credit card that I've used the most often has a balance of over $3,400 because that has things on it like the move and all of the moving supplies and all of the other incidentals that came with this part of the stockpile. So I have the money in the budget. It's essentially in the checking account. But what I mean is that the $3,000 that's coming in is going right back out. So, excuse me, from the April budget, because there's no housing expense, and that's my biggest expense, that gives me more money to pay off the credit cards that will still have a balance on them come that time. Now, that balance will not be turned into debt. The charges will still be young enough that they won't be accruing interest. I'll be in the grace period. But it's going to mean that I am going to have to take a serious look at how I allocate those funds and make sure that I reserve them to repay these overages for the wallet spend. So that is it for this week. Again, my Etsy shop is reopened. The link is down in the description below. I also made a post and put it up on Thursday night that has the QR code and the link to my shop. But if you use the code below, or the link below rather, it'll have the discount code in it. So again, it's 20% off orders of $50 or more. I do want to thank you for spending the time with me today and listening as I talk about my spending for the week. It really does mean a lot to me when you watch all the way to the end. I really do appreciate it. It helps out the channel quite a lot. And so thank you again. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up or a comment down below, share with your friends, and subscribe if you're new. Until I see you in the next one, which will either be my budget video for April or game night on Monday, take care.